What is the best you effed with the wrong person moment you've seen? Watching my 72-year-old father beat the piss out of a guy who tried to steal my mom's purse. If I've learned anything growing up in the rural Midwestern USA, it's your battle with the wrong senior citizen might be your last. How hard are you, really, when up against an 80-year-old farmhand turned farm owner who worked manual labor their whole life, has chain-smoked unfiltered Lucky Strikes since they were 14, hasn't consumed a liquid other than whiskey for the past 30 years, has healed being attacked by a bull with booze and some plants he picked in the woods, has so many medical ailments that doctors are placing bets on his lifespan, and who can still very coherently regale with stories of their time fighting wars overseas. There are more of these people dotted throughout middles of nowhere, USA, than one might think. I've fought a knife-wielding homeless guy before, and that is less intimidating than your average rural Terminator. 7th grade science. Bully, almost more of a bully's henchman, said something about a quiet kid's mother. Quiet kid's mom was dead. Quiet kid also apparently studied boxing. Who knew? What did you say about my mom? Wham! What did you say about my mom? Wham! Bully henchman was so shocked he did nothing and took the 2 straight punches to his face. I don't think he got in trouble. Happened before the teacher came in. My high school boyfriend and my older brother. My freshman year of high school I met Scotty. He was a little on the weird side, a scene kid, but he was nice enough. Until the day he decided to hit me. I said something he didn't agree with and in retaliation he slapped the bejesus out of me. If there was an award for best bitch slap then Scotty won it. My head snapped back, saliva flew from my mouth, tears formed in my eyes. We had been in the car, sitting in traffic behind some accident or other. He kicked me out of the car and made me walk home. I sat down on the side of the road and called my brother because I wasn't ready to deal with my mother's reaction. My brother showed up in his Jeep, held up traffic on a Friday afternoon to make sure I was okay. He had even stopped at the store and bought me a bag of frozen peas for me cheek. We drove on. The car was deadly silent. My brother was steely-faced, white-knuckle gripping the wheel, pure white anger in his eyes. We drove past our road and kept going. He pulled into Scotty's yard and stormed up to the door. I stayed in the car. Scotty came out, 5'7" to my brother's 6'3". My brother grabbed him by the shirt and lifted him a good foot off the ground. I didn't hear what was said, all I know is my brother never had to hit the kid. Whatever he said to him made Scotty go pale and shaky. Brother laid him down on the front porch, came back down, got in the Jeep and wrecked that boy's front yard. Tore it the hell up. Scotty's dad was one of those guys who won awards for his yard. There was this guy who was part of our group in college. He was an ass but he was one of the guy's brothers so he hung out with us a lot. Whenever he would get drunk he would try to pick fights. We would just shake it off and ignore him. One of the guys hosted a pretty big night party. As it goes, this dude got drunk and tried to pick fights again. People were getting uncomfortable. There was one guy at the party who was about 6 feet 4 inches and built like a tank who was just not having it. He waited to be confronted and then immediately carried the guy outside and threw him down on a stair and broke his leg. He stopped picking fights after that. Yuppie frat boy in an econ course I was taking my freshman year got caught cheating. At my university, we all sign a contract agreeing to their honor code policies, and cheating is an automatic expulsion. But, the professor decided to be nice, and was just going to give the kid a 0 on the exam. Frat kid doesn't think that's enough, and it turns into an argument. Kid starts saying how in his family is at the university, and how none of this matters because he'll just pull some strings. Long story short, our professor is actually close friends with the chancellor of our school. Not only did the kid get expelled from the school, but they somehow got him into legal trouble as well for some of the comments made in class that day. I don't know what was said that could have been used against him, but the kid ended up in some deep shit. There was this guy who played drums all the time in Hawaii on the city strip. Nice guy, never chatted much except for a wave and to throw him a few dollars. Some drunk tourist decided it would be fun to mess with his drums. Guy gave him so many chances to walk away. Drunk tourist winds up for a punch and the dude just knocked him out in one punch. I just stood there and my buddy had the presence of mind to tell the guy to pack his shit and leave before the cops come. Guy was pretty fucked up and we helped him till the ambulance came. I'm pretty sure with the way that his jaw looked it wouldn't be a short recovery. Not quite his fucking tempo. I didn't witness it, but when I worked for ATT, a gentleman and his wife came in because his son's iPhone 6 was bent. So, they wanted to get him a new phone. How did it get bent? Some turd held the boy up while he was walking home from school, taking his money and his phone. Both of his parents were retired police officers, and his father trained SWAT tactics and hand-to-hand combat. The son went home empty-handed and was initially scared to tell his parents because the thief told the boy he knew where he lived and threatened him. His parents eventually got him to tell them what happened. The thief was hanging out at a laundromat near their home when the robbery took place. The dad called his cop buddies who immediately rolled up to the laundromat along with the dad, where they apprehended the guy who still had the phone in his pocket. It got bent during the ensuing scuffle. Dude stole from the wrong kid. The kid was very polite and kind while in the store. He seemed pretty shook up. I was glad for him that his dad had his back. I just imagine the SWAT team rappelling off of the laundromat roof and off of helicopters as this twerp shits his pants. This is low-key, but I enjoyed it. My first week at a white-collar job, my first such job, and we were in the middle of a department-wide meeting, about 17 co-workers and supervisors all together. The person leading the meeting asks a question of no one in particular, and several of us answer. My answer differed from the rest. One guy turns to me and says, "Let's leave these questions to the people who actually have a master's degree, shall we?" I looked at him and said, "I have a master's degree." The room went silent, except for one guy who loudly oohed. I had given the correct answer, to top it off. There was a family in my neighborhood that fostered a lot of Asian boys. One was in my class, a couple were older. They lived 3 houses down from my best friend, and he became very close with the boy in our class. We can call him John. In retrospect, it seems obvious that while he was in our class, he was obviously older and was probably placed with us so he could catch up with his education. He was a great guy. When we were in high school, a kid from the class ahead of us took a special interest in picking on my friend. He was constantly fucking with him. It escalated to him challenging my friend to fights, and finally showing up in our neighborhood. Eventually he shows up one day and confronts my friend in the street. John witnessed this and comes out to challenge the bully, and utterly and completely destroys this kid, who had to 50 pounds heavier. He was one of those big red-headed kids, and the much smaller, much faster Asian kid beat the shit out of him before he knew what happened. It was watching a Bruce Lee movie live. Afterwards my friend just walked up to me and said, "Well, I guess that's the end of my bully's name problem." It was. Another time, different kid, was fostered by the same family, was getting picked on relentlessly by some upperclassmen. They were using racial slurs, running him off the road with their cars when he rode his bike around. Finally he had enough one day at school, and gets into with the ringleader of the bullies. Through broken English and a lot of Vietnamese swearing, he agrees to meet them at the only gas station in town after school to settle things. Kid shows up to confrontation and removes a glass bottle from his bag, promptly breaks it and brandishes the jagged glass like a knife. Cue the bully immediately running to his car and taking off while the kid says that this is how you settle your honor in his country, or something to that effect. No one messed with him anymore after that incident. One night my dad had his garage broken into by some kids. We were in there working at some designs for the ducts of a house being built when some kid knocks on the door of the garage. We go out to help the one kid, whom we assumed was alone at the time, on the other side of the house from our detached garage. Dad goes around to the garage to get his set to help out and finds a different kid walking out with his 40 ounces bottle of booze. That kid got laid flat pretty quickly. I heard this interaction and shuffled my way over, abandoning the kid on the side of the house facing the big street or in the corner. I see the out cold kid on the ground in front of the garage door with the bottle and know something is up. I go back around the house to see if they're connected, and the kid with the bike has taken off down the street on the bike that we were really just going to fix the brakes on. Knowing that kid 1 was gone, and figuring there was 2 at this point, Dad heads into the house. Again, the garage is detached but not far, and finds yet another kid fumbling around in the bedroom where his keys were. He comes back out of the house and tells me to make sure they don't go anyway. Both of them are out cold at this point and he is off to chase down the kid on the bike. He ends up chasing Kid 1 in his van down the street near a hardware store and bumps his tire from behind to kill his balance and knock him to the ground in the parking lot. I would say that was a night of violent justice. I was in a bar in Missouri. It was on the outskirts of Jeff City, had a nice mix of customers with various backgrounds. College students, city dwellers, country folk, etc. There was a group of white, preppy 20-something guys acting douchey. King of the douches marches up to bar and tries flirting with the bartender. She smiles and listens to him but clearly doesn't care. He keeps spewing stupid pickup lines while his friends egg him on. Next to him is a thin black guy drinking a Cosmo. After the last failed pickup line, the thin black guy says she really doesn't give a flying fuck about your pickup lines, she's just doing her job. King douche doesn't like that, starts talking shit about the black guy. Very immature stupid shit. The thin black guy keeps his cool, sipping his Cosmo. King douche calls him a gay slur for drinking a Cosmo, continues on a homophobic rant. Thin black guy finishes his drink and turns to King douche. King douche says, "What you gonna do, fa?" Thin black guy kicks him in the balls. As he bends down in response to his annihilated testicles, thin black guy uppercuts him in the throat. While King douche fall tries to comprehend what is going on, his friends come up behind him. Thin black guy kicks King douche into his friends. The bartender tells the flock of douches to get the hell out. They help King douche to his feet and leave. Thin black guy goes back to the bar to pay for his drink. The bartender says, "Thanks, Marcus." Marcus replies, "No problem, see you later." He walked out to his car and drove off. That is the last time I saw Marcus. Was on a Kentucky around Europe 6 years ago. When we got to Switzerland, we were staying in this campground with a bomb shelter for a bar. They had on-site security who are also a division of the police force. I can't remember exactly how that works, but we met a really nice security guard, Sven, who told us his nickname is White Tyson Wade for short. It was party night and we were having a bloody good night when we noticed there was a bit of a scuffle on the floor. One guy, let's call him Hero, was the main antagonist. He had apparently slapped a girl on the dance floor who was refusing his advances, which quite a few of us took exception to. The girl he was trying it on with was the sister of one of the guys on our tour. After some push and shove, everyone was told the night was over and it was time to go to our rooms. Wade was told to keep an eye on Hero as he continued to work himself into a rage. Eventually Hero lost the plot, started kicking and punching the wall in his room before deciding Wade was next. He walked up to Wade, who at this point was standing right outside his front door, started mouthing off with some threats. Wade decided enough was enough, told him to back away or he will use force to subdue him. Hero declined his offer and continued to advance towards him. Wade took a step back and threw back a few of his own. Hero's Kentucky was over that night. He lost 3 of his teeth and broke his jaw. We didn't see him again, but in the morning when the girl's brother saw Wade, all he had to say was, "I did this for your sister, I hope she is okay. Hope you'd learnt your lesson, Hero." My grandpa was a Nam vet, really nice guy, kinda your typical portly boomer type. Well, one day we were at the mall and on the way back to the car some frat douche looking guy was walking along singing a dirty song comprised mostly of profanity. My grandpa told him, "Hey, terrorist kids around here, watch your mouth." Guy sizes up my grandpa, sees he's kinda old, got a belly, and decides he's going to prove to his 2 buddies how tough he is by bowing up on an old man. He flexes his cut-off sleeved arms, juts his barbed wire tribal neck tattoo chin out, and kinda tries to chest bump my grandpa. My grandpa suddenly is in this perfect boxer's stance and just rocks this guy in the gut. Frat dude goes down on his knees winded, and my grandpa says, "I said watch your mouth, boy." Guy starts to get up and say fuck you, but my grandpa puts a left hook into his face and a right punch into his neck under his ear, and the dude goes down spread eagle and out cold. My grandpa steps over him walking towards his 2 buddies, who book it. We got in the car and he made me promise not to tell my mom. Thank you for watching my video. This is my face before you watched it. And this is my face after. Please subscribe for more. Join Club Wojak, the hottest voice in the industry.